Notice that a group of pastors in the United States were gathered together with government officials who had a message for them. It wasn't just pastors, people from other religions were there, and they had a message for them. And this was recently reported by various media outlets. It's a topic that some pastors have mentioned and confirmed that the meeting did indeed take place. The idea was, start preparing your congregants, your religious communities, so that they understand, because we are going to start revealing topics that have to do with life. Non-human life, possibly intelligent, maybe extraterrestrial. I don't know, something like that. A group of pastors and religious leaders from different areas claim to have participated in secret meetings related to the disclosure of UFO information, which is already generating a lot of attention. A series of controversies and testimonies from those who were at that meeting claim they saw images of alleged beings, some of which are even translucent beings. The description has caused a certain fear even among the attendees themselves. Among the religious leaders, they not only describe strange phenomena, but also warn that what was seen could be related to prophecies that they interpret from their religious point of view, whether it's biblical or from another religion or another book. This was due to a decision made by Donald Trump when he released the first batch of classified files about unidentified flying objects on May 8th. It's already the 15th, and there's still talk that the declassification is just beginning. These documents will include more unidentified flying objects in the future, possibly including non-human beings as well. The leak raised the question, what do we already know? The leak of the 162 documentos has created a division among skeptics, believers, and scientific experts who say that the information revealed is not enough for an official confirmation about the extraterrestrial nature of the phenomena or of some other kind. So there is no clarity. Despite the statements that have been made and the controversies and disputes that have arisen because of these cases, they say the objects are extraordinary, but they are still not definitive proof that these belong to some kind of entities that are not human. Religious groups are commenting, starting to debate whether these phenomena could be interpreted as spiritual manifestations or apocalyptic signs. There are all kinds of opinions. There are very different views. I mean, there are some very extreme views, right? And other perspectives that are more open to understanding this, right? Some even say that maybe it's a deception. Just like that. Lack of clarity in the documents, also the lack of explanation and context for many of the objects that have been revealed, and above all, the lack of information, because it's still scarce, it's still very little. 162 documents is nothing. We're talking about what is estimated to be hundreds of thousands of documents and images. And well, there are already 46 videos that have already been processed to erase all the details they don't want to reveal. And even so, they don't reveal them. They still don't publish them. A lot of fake videos have come out too, by the way. So you have to be careful with this as well. The lack of clarity, the lack of interest from certain media outlets that prefer to avoid the topic. Defense and technology experts warn that beyond extraterrestrials, their files could also reveal military advancements, secrets, or phenomena that current science still doesn't understand. The most unsettling part is that those who attended this meeting insisted that they were shown images of alleged beings and clear faces. What does this mean? What does he mean by translucent beings? There are still many doubts to be clarified, but these religious groups say that they are discussing it to find some kind of consensus on how to approach the subject. How to approach it with the religious community. Meanwhile, Donald Trump reacts with a strong warning to Iran as he pushes for a deal amid the blockade. This is more than just pressure. He's basically telling them their days are numbered. Either war starts, or you work things out and make a deal. The President of the United States delivered another direct warning and ultimatum. He's running out of patience with Iran and increasing international pressure. He implied that he already has Iran's approval that Iran doesn't want nuclear weapons either, and on the other hand, doesn't want to extend the war. But Iran has partially restricted maritime transit in response to previous attacks by the United States and Israel, and has completely altered the global commercial energy flow. And the United States also blocked the Iranians, so it's one blockade after another, which is hard to break. And Donald Trump claims that Xi Jinping promised not to supply military equipment to Iran, so they agree with China that it will no longer support the Iranians, right? And at the same time, he gets Xi Jinping to say himself, hey, we don't want Iran to have nuclear weapons either. And if that stays that way, I think this issue would be important for a quick negotiation. Why? Because Iran doesn't have, well, it has friendly relations with China, but China isn't going to accept all of its conditions. That's why there could be an interesting turn in that matter. By the way, look at what's happening with Cuba. They say that Donald Trump is coming back from Cuba, from the United States, from China, and he's already started talking about Cuba. He was just on the plane. The US president claims there is or will be a major crisis on the island. He says this on Air Force One during his return from China to Washington, and he offers Havana an assistance package of $100 million if the dictatorship, let's say, makes arrangements or profound changes in Cuba. The president avoided commenting on other topics, but in this regard, he says that the Department of Justice is on it, is on the issue, along with, obviously, the Department of State. Donald Trump emphasized to journalists aboard Air Force One during his return to the United States that from China, Cubans need help, and well, this will have to be through an agreement with the regime. And look, this was the farewell. Donald Trump. Let's see if we can put it here. This was Donald Trump's farewell, where you could see him leaving from China, not boarding the plane. Also something curious. See what happened there. Let's do that. Donald Trump at this moment as he was boarding Air Force One in China. Or he's going from China to the United States now. Everything they did inside China, they did it with cell phones, with Chinese operators, right? And all the cell phones are throwaway and disposable. So all the cell phones they used to communicate, they put them in a bag and threw them in the trash. Some of them were put in a safe in this house. It's like a Faraday type mesh, so that no signal could interfere with the cell phones and all the pamphlets, documents, everything that China gave him on paper. Everything. They put it in a bag, in a trash bag, and they threw it away. According to reports, due to extreme cybersecurity concerns, the entire US delegation used only disposable phones. Their personal devices were kept on the plane in Faraday bags that also block all signals. Well, extreme measures, if you will. But that's how countries are. That's how those powers operate. They greet each other, they hug, but they have absolutely no trust in each other. Evil. Yes. So just look at this. Just so we understand the level. Where he travels, for example, Xi Jinping, to the places Xi Jinping goes. And certain leaders do the same. Even the bathroom. I mean, their bathroom waste. They put it in some kind of bag and take it back with them to their country. They leave no trace of anything. Especially the leaders, right? Not all the people, just the leaders, Jinping and people like that, right? Why? Because if suddenly that country's intelligence service gets their excrement, their urine, etc., they'll be able to know if they're taking any kind of drug, if they're taking any kind of medicine, if they're sick with something. I mean, they could have crucial information to understand the other person. So intelligence agencies do extraordinary things, extraordinarily weird and strange things, just to understand a little more about what the other person is like. Spies, after all. And they also talked about that. Donald Trump talked about the topic of espionage today because he was asked about it. And he said, well, yes, it's concerning that China spies, he said. But he also said, we spy on them too. I mean, in that sense, he was very clear. Yes, that's true. I mean, look, listen to what he says, but not in the original language. Let's listen to it.
Have you talked about the cyber attacks that have been carried out in the United States or on MSN?
Yes, I have. And have you talked about attacks we carried out in China? But they do it too. It's like the spy. They're talking about, oh, the spy.
We do it too.
No. I'm talking about spy. The question I was asked was...
Donald Trump says, he says, I did it. And he talked about attacks we carried out in China. You know what they do? We do it too. We also spy on them like crazy. I told him, we do a lot of things with you that you don't know anything about, he said. I mean, just imagine. I mean, he says, yeah, you guys spy on us. We spy on you. And yeah, we do things you guys don't even know about. I mean, what strange conversations, right? What strange conversations. Xi Jinping and Donald Trump should have had those conversations. That's the situation on this topic. Let's move on to other important matters. Notice that Keiko Fujimori and Roberto Sanchez are the ones who will compete in the presidential runoff. This is over in Peru. According to what is known, 100% of the electoral count is already in, right? And it has already been determined that the candidate from Together for Peru got 21,000 more votes than the third place, which is Rafael López Aliaga from Popular Renewal. So Keiko Fujimori took first place in the first round of the presidential elections with 2.8 million votes. Exactly, that's 2,877,000 votes, equivalent to 17.8% of the votes. And the Fuerza Popular candidate will compete in the second round on June 7th against Roberto Sanchez. He's the one from Juntos por el Perú. June 7th is coming up really fast. Less than a month. The elections to find out who will be the president of Peru are coming up. Let's see how much the president of Peru heard. But well, that's how it is. That's how it turned out. There are now more images of what happened in Venezuela. These are the images of the moment when a refinery in Venezuela caught fire after an explosion. According to reports, a loud bang was heard. It was later learned that it was an explosion followed by a fire at the La Margas plant, dedicated to crude oil extraction in the state of Zulia. According to the first reports, several people were injured after the incident. And at least one worker is reported to be missing so far. Here are more images of this refinery from this very difficult moment. All right, team, we will keep giving you more details as more information becomes available. By the way, greetings to the Venezuelan community. This is huge news. And well, the question of why the explosion happened was a mistake. It was due to a lack of caution or something like that. The point is that an explosion happens during a time of global energy crisis, right? That also, well, I think it gives this issue an even greater seriousness. That's not the case with what happened over there, with how things are going. It depends, Venezuela. Let's discuss other topics. What's happening in the world is also interesting. I will say, while we're here commenting, we're talking about what's happening around the world. Notice that in the midst of all this tug of war, more reports are coming in and more images keep coming out. These are here on Twitter, where they show more images of how these fires are happening out there. I mean, in one of these, I think at least I should consider it. The fires happen, so they have to be investigated at least a little, right? I mean, just to understand whether it really was sabotage or something else, right? Because it's better to be suspicious, right? Like they say, think the worst and you'll be right. Yeah, sometimes, well, I think in these kinds of situations right now, anything related to oil, gas, and so on, when it explodes or catches fire at this moment, for me, at the very least, it should be investigated, right? I mean, at least look into it a little, right? So that's where we are, right? It says, can I get antibiotics and medications from your product? From what? What do you mean? Huh? Mandalorian, how have you been? He says, hey, what are you getting at? There are a few videos, he asks. Of what? Of what thing? Are there still some? If so, there are a few. I'm not complaining. Everyone complains about that. I mean, no, it's not me complaining. Sure. There are many missing, as US congressmen like Tim Burchett have said. I mean, Tim Burchett, Ana Paula Luna, and all these congressmen who have been seeking the disclosure of the WAP apps cases, of the UFO cases. Well, what they say is, hey, there are very few official Pentagon videos, etc., that they haven't wanted to reveal. I mean, they've published a few, 28, but there are 46 more that they haven't wanted to reveal yet. He says, and that's just the tip. We're talking about boxes and boxes of documents that they say they can't reveal yet because of security reasons. Avi Loeb said it, this Harvard astrophysicist who said, look, because he's open to the UFO topic, the alien topic, all of this, I mean, he's open to that. But at the same time, he says he knows there are certain things they can't reveal because when you see the footage, you identify what you have. They have certain types of filters and technologies that in theory, the United States wants to keep secret. Or they're in places they shouldn't be, for example. So what they do is not reveal, because they're definitely not going to reveal that. If you notice, almost all the videos are cut, because they don't want you to know exactly where it is. Not that. Well, that's also an important part of what's happening. But let's stay alert, because Tim Bullshit, Paulina Luna herself, the Rear Admiral we showed a moment ago, well, they insist that they are going to push and try to make sure that everything is known and that everything possible is disclosed as long as national security is not put at risk. So that's it. That's going to be the topic, right? I mean, it's going to be the topic of the month if they manage above all to get wide disclosure, right? At least those cases that have already been investigated. Those that Congress has already given and approved. They can be disclosed because in theory that's already ready. I mean, it's just a matter of making the decision and it hasn't been done because there are pressures for it not to happen. So, well, that will also be super interesting. Let's move on to other topic. It's expected today. It's the weekend today. Every Friday, there's a lot of pressure on the issue of what's happening in Iran because oil prices go up as much as possible. They raise the price as much as they can. By now, oil trading should have closed. Or let's see what time it is in Washington, in New York. Now New York. Let's see. No, it's about to close. The oil market is about to close. So they push as much as they can to raise the price to the maximum. The Iranians, right? Because with that, they put pressure on the United States, like saying, look how high I've driven up the oil price to, well, affect your economy. And it affects the whole world. Look, it's still the same still at 112. We'll see. There it is at 102. And since he wants to raise it and he knows it to 111, but it's without 312, 111. The price is very high. Yes, there was a spike as shown by the green line going up. This was today. It went up a lot. A lot. So no, it's not reaching 120, but let's say it looks like it's heading that way. It seems like it's going there. So that means that maybe next Monday, everyone is waiting. How the price is going to open the price. And we can see it on Sunday through the Asian markets. Well, because they give you a signal of how things are going. So, well, that's something we'll have to keep checking too. Don't you think? He says he's lying down and he's not around. I want to finish watching The Mandalorian. Now that I'm watching The Mandalorian, I mean, I think I'm missing the last season, and doesn't the movie come next? Isn't it supposed to? It's already out, isn't it? He says, brothers, you're tridactyl. He says, in Peru, Jaime Maussan. He says, today, mantilla covers all cold hard. He says, greetings. How have you been, Mercedes? How have you been? Greetings, Marcelo. Hi, Armando. How are you? A big shout out to the whole community who are watching us on replay as well. Thank you very much. Well, we'll update you again in a little while. We'll be back with more details. Thank you very much for joining us. See you later.